All right, we're at homework 3 in section 9. This is rotating about the origin of different spots. So I have points of A, B, C, D. Okay, and here are those points, and here are where they show up. Now, we are to rotate at 180 degrees. Now, my rule for rotation at 180 degrees is that my X and my Y stay the same. They just switch their signs. So since all of these are positive, then these are going to be negative. And so if I'm going to rotate at 180 degrees, I just got to remember, okay, that with these points, I just have to change the sign. Now, if all of these were negative, okay, then all of these would be positive. If all the X's were negative, okay, then the X's would be positive and the Y's would be negative. Okay, so when we talk about switching the sign, we're talking about even if it's X is negative and the other's positive, whatever it is, you're going to change it. All right, any questions on 1? Any questions on 3? Okay, now this is one where we're now rotating at 270 degrees counterclockwise. So we are taking this shape right here and we're moving it here. That would be 90 counterclockwise. Here would be 180, and I can't make my hand do that, but then we're going to flip so that whenever it's 270 degrees, it's going to counterclockwise. Wherever it started, it's going to be in the quadrant right next to it. Okay? So, when we move counterclockwise 270 degrees, we have to follow. Uh-oh, my rule page disappeared. Okay, what is the rule when we rotate at 270 degrees? What is the rule when we rotate 270 degrees?
The Y is your X.
Okay.
And then the X is everything.
Yes, okay. Our Y becomes the X value. So whatever my Y value is, I'm going to plug that in. So here is my Y value, okay, at 8, 1, and 4. So now it becomes what my X is. Then I take my X and change all the signs and make it the Y. So this negative 7 turns into a positive 7. This negative 1 into a 1. This 4. I think that should be negative 8, correct? Because, no, I'm sorry. The X comes down, and that's right, we changed the sign, okay, to Y. So the X comes down and changes its sign to Y, and the Y value becomes X, okay? And so the Y value, am I saying that right? Hang on.
Attention, please. If a homecoming candidate, please come to the office.
All right, so let's make sure we have this correct. The X value, okay, becomes the Y, and we change its sign. So the X value becomes the Y, and we change its sign. And then the Y becomes the X. That's what we said at the beginning, right? Okay, so the Y now becomes the X. Okay, so if I rotated this 270 counterclockwise, it's also the same rule if we rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So 270 counterclockwise and 90 clockwise are the same. All right, now let's take a look at number 5. Okay, number 5 is just like number 1. We rotate it at 180 degrees. What happens to all of these points? Okay, what happens to all of these points when we're rotating 180 degrees? Yeah, all the signs are changing. -6, +6, +7, -7, -3, +3, 6, -6, -1, 1, 3, -3, -7, 7, 1, -1. So that's 180 degrees. Probably 180 degrees is the simplest, just because you take all your signs, the same numbers go everywhere, but you just change all your signs. All right, any questions on 5? Okay, any questions on 5? All right. So now let's take a look at 7. Okay. Okay, 7 is 90 degrees clockwise, which is the same rule as 270 degrees counterclockwise. That's what the CCW means.
Teacher, slight interruption. At this time, I need to see any students that ride the bus morning and afternoon that live on R.A. Griffith Highway from R&R to Rockin' Down Road to please come to the front.
Okay,
Any student that rides the bus either morning or afternoon on R.A. Griffith Highway from R&R to Rockin' Down Road to please come to the front. Thank you.
okay. So, here is my original pre-image. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, or if I were moving this, okay, it would then flip down here, and then it would take one more flip and go 270 counterclockwise. So my rules are the same. So in 270 counterclockwise, all of my y values become the x. All of my y values become the x. My x values become the y and change their sign. So that's going to change to negative, 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 negative. Okay, any questions on 7? The reason why I'm showing you this with the graph is so that you're able to see where these points are going to look like. Yes, Leanne?
Why do you change the 90 to 70?
Oh, 90 clockwise is the same as 270 counterclockwise. All right? Let me just do the last few very quickly. Point in is -1, -4. And again, at 270 counterclockwise, the y, or the x, okay, becomes the y value and changes its sign. The y stays the same. When we do 90 counterclockwise, okay, g is -3 and 8, okay? This is where the y becomes the x and changes its sign, and the x stays the same. And number 13, okay, to where 8, -2 is the image of P after 180 degree rotation about the origin. What are the coordinates? Now, when it's 180 degrees, the x and y just change their sign. So, -8, +2. This is for homework 3, section 9.